Welcome to our recap of the Omen, 2006, a chilling horror remake that delves into the sinister tale of a child born with a terrifying destiny. Directed by John Moore, this film revives the haunting story of Damien Thorn, whose seemingly innocent exterior conceals a harbinger of doom. Set against a backdrop of suspense and supernatural intrigue, The Omen weaves a narrative filled with ominous signs, dark prophecies, and the inescapable grip of evil. Join us as we unravel the eerie events that unfold, leading to a spine-tingling climax that will leave you questioning the very essence of fate and foreboding. The American diplomat Robert Thorn, live Schreiber, who is based in Italy, receives word that his son passed away shortly after birth. Robert agrees to the suggestion of Father Spiletto, Giovanni Lombardo Radis, the Catholic priest at the hospital, to covertly adopt a newborn whose mother passed away during childbirth in order to spare the suffering of his still unconscious wife Katherine, Juliet Stiles.
That's our son.
After naming him Damien, Robert and Katherine raised the boy as their own. Over the next 5 years, Robert's career takes off. After the ambassador passes away in an odd accident, he is appointed deputy ambassador to the court of St. James, the United Kingdom. He then moves into a sizable estate not far from London. But unsettling things begin to center around Damien, Seamus Davy Fitzpatrick. The most notable of these is when his nanny, who was prodded by a big black German shepherd, hangs herself at his birthday party.
It's all for you! Look at me, Damien!
Robert has Father Brennan, Pete Postlethwaite, escorted out after he approaches him shortly after and issues a chilling warning and appears to be aware of Damien's true birth story.
Sergeant, his mother is a jackal!
Photographer Keith Jennings, David Thewlis, discovers in the interim that some of his shots have enigmatic symbols in them, which he later discovers portend a string of horrifying deaths. After hiring a new nanny, Mrs. Baylock, Mia Farrow, informs Damien that she was sent to watch out for him. When the nanny begins acting against their wishes, such as bringing a large watchdog, a Rottweiler, into the house without permission, tensions between Mrs. Baylock and the Thorns escalate.
Dog.
As they get closer to the church on their way to Katherine's funeral for the former nanny, Damien starts to get scared and attacks her. Katherine has her first nightmare or premonition about Damien that night. The next day, several species of primates go crazy when they see Damien during a field trip to the city zoo. Although Katherine feels that her son is not quite right, Robert dismisses her worries. Father Brennan confronts Robert once more, telling him that Damien has to die and that he can learn how to do it from a man named Buchenhagen who lives in Makito. Robert sends him away once more, furious. Brennan tries to enter a church for safety during a violent storm, but the door is oddly bolted. A huge steel rod that falls from the roof impales him after a lightning bolt strikes the church steeple. Fearing another child like Damien, Katherine wants an abortion as soon as she finds out she is pregnant. Robert won't even entertain the idea. As Katherine is watering plants on an upper floor, Damien, riding his scooter, knocks her off a chair, sending her falling over the railing. She begs for help, but he refuses to listen, and as a result, she falls several stories, badly hurting herself and miscarrying. Katherine, who is bedridden, begs her husband, saying, "Don't let him kill me."
Don't let him kill me.
At last, Robert acknowledges that there is a problem with his son. Driven by cautions from Father Brennan and additional details from Keith Jennings, Robert and Jennings set out to find Damien's biological mother. They learn that Damien's birth hospital burned down after meeting a nun in Rome.
From the eternal sea he rises, the devil's child.
Then, after visiting a monastery in Subiaco, they meet Father Spiletto, who is now severely disfigured and confined to a wheelchair. Father Spiletto provides them with the location of Damien's mother's grave. In the old Servitory cemetery, they locate the grave of Damien's biological mother, Maria Avdice Santoya.
Maria Avdice Santoya.
There, they find a jackal skeleton, suggesting that Damien cannot be human. Robert finds the body of a human baby with a fractured skull in the nearby tomb, which indicates that his biological son was killed at birth. A group of Rottweilers attacks him and Jennings out of the blue, and they just manage to flee. While all of this is going on, Mrs. Baylock pays Katherine a visit in the hospital and, while there, introduces air from an empty syringe into her fore, causing an air embolism that kills her. Robert chooses to take Brennan's advice and murder Damien after finding out about Katherine's passing. When he gets to Mikito, he meets with Michael Gambon's character Buchenhagen, who informs them that Damien is the long-prophesied Antichrist and that the only way to kill him is to bring him to a holy place and use the 7 Mikito sacrificial daggers. Buchenhagen instructs Robert to check Damien for the 666 birthmark in order to substantiate his claims. Initially, Robert shows shock, says he won't kill his son, and walks away. Jennings picks up the daggers nonetheless, determined to carry out the plan. Robert and he have a brief conversation before he is abruptly killed by a falling sign. This causes Robert to reconsider. Robert gets home in the middle of a violent storm. Robert stops the dog from attacking by trapping it. Then, after going upstairs to Damien's room, he stealthily removes Damien's hair to expose the birthmark, which is 666. Mrs. Baylock suddenly launches an attack. But Robert manages to repel her and leads Damien outside to his vehicle. Robert runs Mrs. Baylock over with the car as she chases after them. Police are chasing Robert as he drives to a church to kill Damien on holy ground. However, just as Robert is ready to use the holy dagger, an agent of the diplomatic protection group slays him.
A trespasser, as we forgive those who trespass.
The US president attends Robert's funeral, which is shown in tandem with the Pope's passing. The president is notified by the Secret Service that his car is waiting after the service. The president appears to be holding Damien's hand, who he has most likely adopted. In the final image, Damien is slowly turning to smile evilly at the camera.